While preparing for today, something fateful happened to me, and in a way it predetermined what you're about to hear. I was sitting with a friend of mine, a talented artist, Georgi Georgiev Antica, and we were talking what to talk here about, and suddenly the sirens went off. And actually, for those of you who don't know, those are not emergency sirens, but on 2nd of June, for 1 minute straight, the sirens are marking a moment for honoring those fallen in battle for the freedom of our country. So everyone stops and, standing in a complete silence, listens to the sound. This sound in the entire country is stopping everything at the exact same time, and it makes an opening in time. The sound could be scary and make you think of the wars going on in the world right now. Or it can induce a feeling of serenity. While standing, you're looking at a sunbeam. That moment reminded me of what I should talk to you about, and it is a skill I believe everyone could learn. I learned it from Senju Takeda, a very talented master of puppets in Japan. When I met him, I was in my 4th year in the National Academy for Theatre and Film Arts. And I was finishing my bachelor in puppet theatre directing, and I needed scenographers to work on my final project. So I met Miwa Dikaova and Senju Takeda. And Senju is the last successor of an old Japanese traditional puppet theatre. At the beginning, I thought, okay, this is pointless because I don't like marionettes. And some old traditional Japanese theater doesn't sound very contemporary and innovative, right? Unlike myself, a rebellious art student. So I'm going to this meeting with all my prejudice. And at the same time, I need someone to work with me. Because, let's be honest, how many of you know a good puppet theater scenographer? Anyone? See? So I go there, I enter their studio, expecting the worst, and preparing mentally my exit strategy. I sit in a chair and wait. And Senju comes in, and he brings a puppet to perform for me. And then, there, without a decor, or a stage, or lights, or even music, he shows a short dance with the puppet. Suddenly, as if vacuum sucks the air out of the room, and I feel entranced. The whole planet stops moving with my breath, and my whole attention is drawn with a spell-like power to the precise movements of the puppet and the mastership of the puppeteer. Like it came alive, and each move gave meaning. I do not know how long the presentation lasted, but I remember this feeling of being out of time and space, admiring the beautiful puppet, and of course, the mastership of this puppeteer. This was probably the first time I was feeling something like it. And immediately I thought, I have to learn how to do that. But what was that exactly? So what I felt was a sort of prolonging the moment of joy and excitement, prolonging the feeling, and ultimately making me feel, physically feel, the highest probably form of human perfection. And this is called contemplation, sozercanie. Since forever people have been thinking a lot about happiness and prolonging the life, and of course, about pleasure. And I have researched the topic, And it is interesting that both Greek and Japanese philosophers have reached the same conclusion, that contemplation is the highest form of pleasurable intellectual activity. Actually, I have this theory about contemplation, art, and time. And we live in a culture where the way time flows is very important. A culture of fast food and slow-carb diets, of fast scrolling and long lines in the supermarket. Fast dates, but long, lonely nights. And I know you would love 1 more hour before the deadline, or a few minutes less of that Zoom call. And why is this entire obsession with time? Because let's face it, time is limitless, right? But no, time is not limitless. It's not limitless for us because we are biological beings. And we all know that the clock is going tick-tock, tick-tock. Actually, our biological life may be short, but our spiritual, emotional, and social life is limitless. And how we are spending our time truly, utterly matters. Imagine time, our inevitable movement through space, as this network, playground. And on this map, there are holes, like tiny portals. And they are stretching out time in pleasant and unpleasant ways. And we know the unpleasant, right? Being late in a traffic jam or missing a plane. But we also know the pleasant ones. Your favorite Netflix series, 6 hours in the blink of an eye. Or a nice book that keeps you up until 3 a.m. before a work day. Or maybe a painting in the art gallery that you don't quite understand, but somehow it appeals to you. Contemplation is the skill of prolonging, stretching out time at the exact moment of feeling completeness and satisfaction. Going back to my situation with the theater, try to imagine the effort of convincing the Japanese puppet theater master that the Bulgarian actors can learn to perform with his puppets for 6 months instead of 6 years. And now, try to imagine to convince the Bulgarian actors that they need to work the Japanese way. In this moment of final despair, I actually learned another lesson, that the old techniques have actually survived, not because of some concept of cultural heritage whatsoever, but because they actually work. It is interesting how we forget about this. And the Keda technique actually still works. And although the actors did not believe in it, and I was a young director, I couldn't explain it very well. We had Senju showing us how to inspire contemplation with the precise movements and the slow flow of beauty. Once I started seeing beyond the obvious, I could not unsee it, and it was leading me further and further until the day of the premiere. This day always comes. So I'm standing at the back of the theater, and the moment before the performance starts, it's the same as this 1 minute on 2nd of June. Silence, darkness. I can hear the audience breathing. And I see children fidgeting, buzzing, and I'm scared and exhausted. But also I'm elevated and excited And I'm thinking about this network. And I feel, in this moment, this network of time just trembling just before the performance. And I'm thinking, is the audience going to feel what I once felt? Or everything is going to fail because of my arrogance? The performance begins, and I'm all ears and eyes, only seeing and hearing the audience. And the audience is calm and not moving, not buzzing, not even breathing. They fall and fall into the hole, and time stretches out, and I see they are contemplating. All the efforts, all the work, all the hours put into perfecting every single detail, and it works. Can you imagine 100 children with their parents staying quiet for 45 minutes watching a theater play? I see the parents here understand. After the success of this first performance, we established a private theater company, and of course, we named it after Senju Puppet Company. We are not just making shows, but we are teaching children through our performances the skill of contemplation. Of course, striving for perfection is very hard. We are all the time practicing and rehearsing, and honestly, we are fighting for survival every day. But we have performed on many stages, in front of audiences that do not even understand our language. And I'm still surprised each time how the slow flow of beauty is affecting people. I'm not here advocating for slow living or some hyperdynamic or efficient lifestyle. Of course, there is no black and white, right? I'm here only to remind you that we are not victims of our time. I want to suggest to you an instrument, a sort of, let's say, medicine, to balance the perception of time and temporal experience. And for me, this is the skill of contemplation. And now, allow me to demonstrate this as my gift for you. Let me give you today, for you and you only, just a little bit of time. I have invited one of our actresses, Radost Kužuharova. And together, we will present a small dance with our puppet, Isan Boshi. Thank you.